Hello everyone, thanks for joining the tour today, and we're going to be taking a look at the newly renovated bungalows, or otherwise now known as the cottages, which we've gone through about half of them so far, and we're looking at cottages number 4 and 8 at this time. And this is just a view of the balcony. We changed the entrance from being in the middle, and so if you are familiar with the property, there used to be an entrance for 2 rooms in one of these bungalow housing structures, and now each bungalow, each room has their own entrance to the side and a little bit more privacy as well, because we split the balconies. So you don't necessarily have to talk to the neighbor if you don't want to, but you can of course go around if you would like. And moving into the room itself, these are brand new beds and frames and new design with the throw pillows and the standard pillows in the back there. And then you can also see the kitchenette unit that we renovated, and we'll get to in a second. Also, we added a working desk with a charging station, so you have USB and also Type-C there as well, right below the television. And that's for anybody who wants to get some work done, especially those work from home people. And this is a wider view of the room, and I just want to make note of the AC, because these used to be fan cooled rooms, and now we got rid of the louver windows, and so now it's completely sealed up, if you will, with, as far as the windows go, brand new windows. And also want to bring attention to the ceilings. So the ceilings used to be flat, and now we brought them up to an apex to give a little bit more room and make it feel a little bit more spacious, but still maintain the coziness. And also bringing some more attention to the far right corner of the kitchenette that we have, and we'll get to that in a second, and also the newly renovated bathroom. So we basically gutted this entire place. Even the floor tiles are brand new as well. And this is another angle of the bed, and just want to bring some attention to the LED bed frame, as well as the embedded nightstands and lamps, and another view of the kitchenette, I should say. And as you can see, it has basically all the utensils and tools that you might need to cook a meal. Included is a mini fridge there down on the left, and a hot plate, coffee maker, ice bucket, all the knives and utensils that you may need to feed a small family. Not necessarily Thanksgiving dinner, but you can definitely chef it up in there, especially if you're staying for an extended period of time. This might be a perfect type of accommodation for you. And that essentially is the kitchen. And now moving on to the bathroom. And as I mentioned before, like floor to ceiling, new floor tiles, new ceiling tiles. Got the LED frame around the mirror just to give a little bit more lights. We changed out the square louver windows for the ship window, I guess you can call it. And we got the rainfall shower head and the glass frame shower door. Even the towel holders, those are all new. And again, trying to bring together everything in the room, the kitchenette, and to complete the cottage experience, if you will. So very happy and proud of how this was done, and really wanted to give a modern look and feel to this new room category, the cottage. And so also with this wider angle, want to bring attention to the closet. So you got some drawer space there, and you got some hanging space as well, and your safe, of course, and the ironing board is on the other side in between the closet and the window there. And yeah, another angle of the room, and also want to bring attention to that long standing mirror there, so full frame mirror. And that essentially is the bungalow, and this is kind of our way of paying homage to my dad and where he started from with this hotel, Travelers Beach Resort. Started right with one bungalow and grew to the 60-room resort.
Our intent is to change the landscape of Jamaica, to put us on the map globally as we deserve to be. Our product is far more supreme than I see in other places where they have far less.
So there's 4 towers of the wildlife and birds around the development: the swallowtail, the canary, the hummingbird, and the phoenix. Each tower has its own level of amenities in terms of gym, lounge areas, pool, cabanas, concierge, tennis courts, basketball courts, golf simulators, cigar bars, cafes, restaurants.
In order to stabilize the construction, we drive concrete tiles down into the ground to the tune of, this is 28 stories, 180 feet down below, in order to stabilize the building.
Now, everywhere is developed. So why we don't have, as a developed country, we should have something like Singapore, Dubai. I will do it first.
Today we're visiting the Pinnacle's beautiful 2-bedroom sample apartment located on the 3rd floor of Tower 1, the Swallowtail Tower. This unit is lagoon facing, offering open water views and a peaceful backdrop that defines the overall atmosphere of this space. This tour will give you a real sense of what to expect from these residents and what living will feel like here. The apartment features a double balcony, ensuite bathrooms, and a thoughtful layout designed for comfort and flow. So come along and join us for this stunning apartment tour. So Kanya, this is a 2-bedroom that we're seeing, the concept 2-bedroom.
Yes, this is our 1299 square feet lagoon facing 2-bed.
Okay, and we are on the 3rd
You're
floor?
on the 3rd floor, and remember, living starts on the 3rd floor. So this is the lowest possible level to live, lowest view that you'll get. Everything else is elevated, it goes up. So it's 1299 square feet. It's open concept, living, dining, kitchen. 9.5 feet is the distance between the ceiling and the floor. Category 5, hurricane-proof windows and doors. Quartz countertops, recessed lights, central air, and the furniture, of course, is for staging purposes.
Okay, and so everybody will have an opportunity to choose and design, decorate?
It depends.
Okay.
So in the residential tower, this tower, yes.
Okay.
But if you're in the Canary Tower and you're going to want to put your unit back with the hotel, we have a tier, different options that you can choose from.
Okay. So obviously fully customizable, dream furniture, dream table.
Of course, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Beautiful. And now moving into the bedroom, which bedroom
Primary
is this?
bed.
This is the primary bed.
This is primary bed. So you get this view. It's a rainy day, but still a beautiful view.
Definitely.
From this primary bed, look at the space. It's a king-size bed, night tables. You can recline here, ensuite bathroom with a wet room, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have your big bath where you can soak, and then there's also a shower.
So that's one thing that I really like about this is that
The space.
this space.
The
I didn't
space.
know that's what it's called, the wet room.
I just had a client say to me the other day, that's not really a bathroom, it's a wet room. And I'm like, yeah, it is a wet room.
is.
It's a wet room. You close this door and it's a wet room.
And it definitely has that indoor-outdoor feeling.
Yes. And you won't be outside looking in, you won't be able to see, but you can stay inside and look outside. So you can be soaking while taking in that view.
Yeah, nobody can see you.
Yes.
That's good. That's awesome. Oh, I love the layout. I love the tall ceilings as well. I'm a huge fan.
Of high ceilings. Yeah.
Definitely.
Very nice.
And you
All right.
get 2 balconies here.
Yes. So you have one to the left and then one in front, and then this one. Ooh, you feel that breeze?
Yeah.
This one goes all the way down to the secondary bed.
And I also like the fact that each bedroom has its own bathroom.
And closet.
And closet, right.
Own bathroom and closet, so you can have your own privacy. One thing else that I like about this, about all the units, although it's central air, each unit still has your own control. So you can have the AC out here, the master one is on, and you can adjust it to what you want in your bedroom, on, off, whatever the temperature. You can do that in your bedroom.
Very nice.
Closet space, bathroom. See how the lights came on?
See
See how the lights came on? I didn't touch anything.
I love it. Nice. Very nice. Again, tall ceilings, tall enclosure as well.
A lot of space for showering.
Tons and tons of space. I love the inset as well. Anytime I go, it feels like a hotel, you know. And
The finishes? Yes.
The finishes, but anytime I go to a hotel, like the bathroom is so important. And having that, as simple as that is, it is a huge convenience.
It is, absolutely.
Very beautifully designed. And this behind us with the balcony.
This is a balcony with more views.
Very nice.
Grade 12A porcelain tiles, and same, we're consistent with the windows and doors, 9.5 feet, category 5 hurricane proof.
Excellent. And we just went through Melissa, still here, no problem, nothing, no issue at all.
No damages at all.
And I would presume that because the glass is so thick and it is made for that type of impact, that's why it's so quiet in here.
Exactly.
And you don't hear the outside traffic or even the rain that is coming down right now.
You hear nothing from outside.
That's crazy.
There's construction going on right now. You don't hear any construction noises. Once they're closed, that's it. It blocks out all the noise.
That's huge.
Amazing.
Talk about peace and quiet.
Peace of mind, serenity, relaxation. Yes.
Oh, this is great. And how much would a unit like this go for?
This right now is 691,000. This exact unit.
691,000.
Yes.
Man, get it while you can.
Get it while you can.
Get it while you can. Now, this is absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Kanya, for taking the time.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure.
I hope you enjoyed the tour of this 3rd floor, 2-bedroom, lagoon-facing apartment at the Pinnacle Swallowtail Tower. If you'd like more information on the Pinnacle, please scan the QR code on the screen or visit the link in the description below. Hey there, Throp here again. As you're probably hearing, Jamaica is on an unprecedented economical tear, and I know many people are interested to learn how they might be able to buy property in Jamaica, move here, or even start a business. Enter Throp-X. This is my annual Jamaica investment conference hosted at Travelers Beach Resort in Negril, Jamaica. If you're even considering moving to or investing in Jamaica, this is the best low-risk opportunity to do your due diligence and network with the very people driving the country forward. This event brings together a group of hand-picked, trusted, top-of-their-field individuals, the best developers, contractors, real estate pros, lenders, and government partners, all under one roof to help you make your move. This is very much an action-focused premium conference experience geared towards empowering you with the tools and team necessary to create your Jamaica dream. We've partnered with the Tax Administration of Jamaica to help you get your TRN and even open a bank account, all conveniently located on conference property. One of the most popular parts of the conference is a real estate tour. It's the best way to understand Jamaica's real estate market, seeing and experiencing properties firsthand so you can compare apples to apples. Another incredibly valuable part of the conference is the people you will meet. Attendees have been some of the most dynamic, inspiring individuals I have met doing incredible things with their lives. As always, this year will be fun, educational, and actionable, giving you the tools, insights, and connections to invest, build, and move to Jamaica. For more information, please visit Throp-X.com and join our mailing list. This podcast is supported by Discovery Water. Whether I'm working or training, I reach for Discovery Water. 100% premium Jamaican spring water. Bottled in glass, no plastic, no gimmicks. Refill, not landfill. Just clean, natural hydration from right here on the island. What's going on, everyone? Happy Thursday. What is happening? Hope you all are well out there on the internet. We got another Thursday Throp-X live stream. We're like almost 2 weeks away from Throp-X Part Uno 2026, starting May 24th, which is getting exciting, getting very, very, very exciting. We're starting to make our final preparations, so to speak. Myself and the team, speakers, last minute speakers are confirming. It's looking really good. I'm super, super, super excited for this year and really, really excited for. I'm excited for all of it, but I would say very excited to be bringing everybody to Treasure Beach. And who knows, maybe this thing becomes our trip to Treasure Beach becomes something regular that is part of the Throp-X schedule in the future. But who knows? But it's looking really, really, really awesome. And it takes, in order to do this stuff all around, it just takes really great partners and people that kind of see the vision and support it. And I'm getting so much support from Treasure Beach. It's unbelievable. Like really, really amazing support from everybody out there. If you haven't been to Treasure Beach or are unaware of like kind of what the vibe is out there, but it is very much this community first, community forward kind of ethos and spirit about just the whole town. And it's really, really beautiful to see, look at, enjoy, but it is also really, really beautiful to experience and interact with everybody there. And so we're finalizing some things there, hopefully to do something. I think it's going to be special, just fundamentally. It's just special going there in the first place. But then we're also trying to add a little bit more specialness to it, if you will. And I couldn't do it without the partners there. I mean, I can't rave enough, and I can't wait for you all to experience it, and those folks who are coming to Throp-X this year. But I'd also say, like, if you can't make the whole entirety of Throp-X and you want to come on one of the tours or come to one of the day sessions, no problem. You can sign up. All I would do is just ask, I would ask if you're going to, especially the real estate tours, if you're going to come, just try your best, if you can avoid it, just not to show up on the day of. And that's happened before in previous Throp-X's, where we were just like overwhelmed with the amount of people who showed up on the morning of. And it just slows up the process of getting people on the bus and, having to make payments and do the logistics and everything like that. So even if you could just give us a heads up and we know that you're coming and we can just process you beforehand, that would be really, really, really helpful. And I know it's always one of the most popular days, the real estate tours. And this year we're doing two of them. We're doing the Negril real estate tour, and then we're also doing a Treasure Beach real estate tour this year. So all that I ask is if you can just sign up a little bit early for those tours, or at least if you're thinking about it, I would really appreciate just an email, no commitment at all. If you could just send it to events@thropmedia.com. That would really help us with logistics and kind of just moving things along. But super, super pumped for it all. We are getting more panelists confirmed. As you can imagine, like, we've obviously been planning this for quite some time, but people have very busy schedules, especially high demand people. And a lot of times they can't confirm last minute. So we're getting some great last minute confirmations, particularly in the real estate, the real estate realm. And then I'd also say last minute properties as well. And that has also been interesting just the last week or so, with properties that aren't necessarily for sale on the MLS or public, let's say, that they're reaching out to see if they can get on the tour. And so, a lot of them we can't. We just don't have the time logistically. We have a little bit of wiggle room, but we have a very interesting one, particularly here in Negril, that I'm very, very excited. Hopefully we can close on it, so to speak. When I say close on it, just get the commitment with the owners and making sure it works for us, that sort of thing. And so hopefully we can get that confirmation next week and let you all know. Very, very excited for that. And then the others that we can't get on the real estate tour, what we're going to do and what we're telling people is, like, we'll talk about them here. After Throp-X, we'll put them on our mailing list as well. So if you're not signed up for our mailing list, you could go to Throp-X.com and sign up for our mailing list, and we'll get you that information out on these properties that are for sale. And they're all great, so we have some hard decisions to make, so to speak. But anyway, would love to hear from you all, what city, what state, what country you all are chiming in from. I think that brings us together. And esports, you're asking for the link. So the link is Throp-X.com. I will throw that in the comment section here. And you can buy tickets. Also, I'm going to continue to announce this throughout the stream. But before I forget, we're doing a 50% off sale for virtual tickets. So now until May 10th, you get 50% off of virtual tickets. It's already there. And so if you can't make it to Throp-X in person, you can come join us virtually and you can just buy your tickets at Throp-X.com. One of the things that I think is so cool about this year, very cool. I just came off of a meeting with it. I'm going to get to the comments in the section, but I thought this is very, very cool. So we're using this app called the Hoover app. And if you're not familiar, it's basically this conference management tool app. I'm going to put it right there. I got like a security screen on there, so you might not be able to see it too clearly. But basically, this is going to be our main form of communication, and also it'll give you all the information for Throp-X this year. So the agenda for every day, the panel discussions, profiles on every speaker, every person who is in attendance virtually or in person will have a profile as well. And one of the main ideas behind investing in this app and partnering with this company is that we want to, as much as possible, continue to foster community and really keep the conversation going while Throp-X is happening, but then also after Throp-X is over, the conversations continue. And then this is also a way that we can kind of stick all the information in one platform. So not only like the panel schedule, the panelist, and using it as a communication tool, but also the real estate tour. So if you're buying a virtual ticket, let's say, and you can't come in person, you will see the tour and all the different stops that were going on the tour, and then all of the background information on what's available. So you'll be in the know, just like everybody else who is not going to be able to make it, who is making it in person, excuse me. So if you're not able to make it in person, you'll actually have an opportunity to view all the information. If it's a listed property, that is, you'll have access to the MLS and you can see the background, but we're going to put all the MLS type information on there, and you'll have the schedule there. We're also going to have different breakout rooms as well. This is something that we got feedback from 2024, particularly for the live stream attendees, is having some sort of communication on specific topics while the conference is going on, and then also beyond the conference. So you'll be able to participate with everybody who's here at the conference, plus the people who are in the virtual world, so to speak, and your questions will be answered. So say, for example, a particular realtor that you enjoyed what they were saying, we're presenting a particular property that you might be interested in. You can then, as a virtual attendee, reach out to that person directly, that realtor directly, because you'll have direct communication through the Hoover app to ask them questions. And then again, we're going to have, I don't know what we're going to call it, but we'll have this group that's buying property in Jamaica, let's say. So this is for everybody who's looking to buy real estate. And we'll all be in this group. We'll all be able to have conversations, myself included, ask questions, inquiries, and then talk amongst each other and keep the communication going. And I think this is like a really powerful way to further solidify the community and further bring us together, and then continue the conversation after Throp-X has ended. So super excited about that. Bringing it back to today's show, we obviously have a very exciting show, and we have a financial journalist and Kalilah Reynolds coming on, who is also the host of Throp-X May 2026. And it is really just it's a pleasure to be, of course, having her here on the stream, but it's also just an honor to have her as the host of Throp-X, and just really excited for her to, of course, come on this evening, but also to host this event with me. And she's somebody that I highly, highly respect and have been watching her content for many years at this point in time. And she's just really had a remarkable impact, particularly on the financial sector and investment sector of Jamaica. And I mean, what a gem. There's like a handful of, I would say, creators that I would say in Jamaica that has this like disproportionate impact on the country in a very positive way. And I feel like we're just so lucky to have them, so lucky to have them, that they've taken up the mantle of this responsibility in her case, reporting on what's happening in the financial sector and investment sector, and just really going into like just the most granular of details of stories that you sometimes you don't hear anywhere else, and then sometimes a lot of people aren't paying attention to, and just really bringing attention to that in a very high level professional way. And again, just super lucky. I think as a country, we're super, super, super lucky to have her. And so she'll be on in just a few minutes. But in the meantime, I'm just going to quickly go through some comments here, and then we will get started. What's going on, Lisa? Nice to have you on as usual. Jeff, what's happening, man? Esports Jamaica, good to have you on. Thanks for joining. As I see your name, I thought we were going to be competing on this stream against iShowSpeed. Thank God he ended his stream early, so we're not competing against him. And so, for those of you who don't know who iShowSpeed is, he is, if not the biggest, one of the biggest, top 2 biggest streamers in the entire world, and he's been touring the entire Caribbean over the last few days. And he's in Jamaica now. He just did a stream today in Jamaica, but it was a short one of him doing a scuba dive, which was kind of crazy because he was scuba diving underwater and live streaming underwater. I've never seen that done before. Maybe it has been, but I thought that was crazy. He was in the Dominican Republic yesterday. Last I checked when I was watching him live, he was at 1.8 million people concurrently watching him live. Absolutely bonkers, insane. It might have gone higher than that, but I saw it at 1.8 million people were streaming this one individual person, not a company or a production company or anything like that. It was one singular person. 1.8 million people were watching him in the Dominican Republic. Absolutely insane. Is Jamaica going to break that record? I'm not sure. So he's streaming tomorrow in Jamaica. I would highly, highly encourage you guys to watch him if you aren't familiar with him. iShowSpeed is his name. He's going to be touring Jamaica. I don't know where in Jamaica he's going to be. It would be ridiculous if he came to Negril. I would not be surprised, if he came to Negril, he's probably definitely going to Rick's Cafe. And don't be surprised if I just show up there. I just want to see the madness. I just want to see the madness. His streams are insane. And he just like walks through different cities. He did a tour of Africa. He did Asia. He was in China. He was all over Europe, as a matter of fact, as well. He streamed, I think, 35 days straight across the United States. And now he's here in Jamaica. So we'll see if Jamaica breaks that 1.8 million record. But we'll tune in tomorrow. I think it's 2:30 if I'm not mistaken. But check it out. Check it out. Oh, sorry that there's no description for the Pinnacle and no link in the description for the Pinnacle, but I put it in the comment section there. I'll make sure I have it ready for you folks watching the replay, and we'll make that adjustment there. Alicia, what's going on? Good evening, Throp-X, everyone. Glad to be here. Glad to have you on. Lisa is chiming in from sunny Connecticut. Awesome. Happy to hear that you're getting some good weather there. Jeff, what's going on? Montreal is in the house. What's happening? Mark, hey, Throp-X Throppers chiming in from Brampton. Just curious, the rental property you teased last live, I believe, if it's added, which tour would it be a part of? I'm assuming you're talking about the Oasis, and that would be Negril. Is that what you're talking about, Mark? I just want to be clear. I might be confusing it with something else. If it's Oasis, that one is unfortunately sold out. If it's something else, can you just please clarify for me? Sounds like you answered my question. Negril. Okay, got it. There you go. Quantities from Provo. Having Kalilah on your show is peak level guest selection. It honestly doesn't get much better than that. I think so too. Graham Brooks, evening, Throp-X Throppers from London. Good to have you on from across the pond. Elaine Jenkins chiming in from Detroit. Simone, what's going on? ATL is in the building. Unique, how you doing? Happy Thursday, everyone. Greetings from Tampa, Florida. Alicia, great pre-production planning with the live. Thank you. Dawn Petgrave says Kalilah is brilliant. It's going to be an exciting conference. Thank you. She is indeed brilliant. Unique, this is exciting. Lady KKP, hi, everyone. Tuning in from Brooklyn. BK in the building. Alicia from USA to Jamaica. Awesome. share. I was worried I had to switch out to. Oh, you're talking about going to ISO Speed. Me too. I'm glad we are not competing against ISO Speed, and it's just us. Everybody can come here and tune into the calm before the storm with Speed coming on tomorrow. Well, not my stream, but doing his stream tomorrow here in Jamaica. Jar Treehouse, greetings, Stop and Throppers from SL. SL, not sure where that is. How do I sign up for Throp-X? Oh, just go to Throp-X.com, and you have to get the 50% off the virtual tickets. You have until May 10th, so you have a few more days to do that. Benjamin says, I'm not his audience, but he's an inspiring young man. Yep, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Alicia says, Jamaica is lit. Agreed. Beth Golding, Tampa Bay, Tampa, Florida, chiming in. One love. And listen to Donna, everyone. And please hit the like button. Appreciate that. And Diane is chiming in from London. Nice to have you. All right. We have our guests in backstage. Sorry, I'm hearing a little buzz in the mic here. All right. It is my pleasure to welcome Miss Kalilah Enriquez Reynolds. There we go. What's going on, Kalilah?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
Doing well. Let's see if we can get this. There we go. A little bit. Doing good. Thank you for coming on. Really appreciate.
There we go.
Appreciate you taking the time. As you can hear, we have a bunch of people excited to have you on as well.
Hi, everybody.
So I gave you a brief introduction a little while ago before you came on. Obviously, you're well known and you're really, really great at what you do, but I don't want to assume that everybody knows who you are. So I would love to give you the opportunity to just introduce yourself.
All right. Well, hi, everyone. Once again, I'm Kalilah. You can call me the Money Queen. That's what my kids call me. They say I talk about money all the time. But let me give you a little background about myself. I'm originally from Belize. A lot of people don't know that. People assume I'm Jamaican, but I moved here about 18 years ago. I've been involved in the media industry for many years. I started out in Belize in broadcast journalism and then did the same thing when I came here. So part of my claim to fame, I like to tell people that me dodge bullet down at Tibali during the incursion.
I remember that.
Some of you may actually remember that. People still tell me about it all the time or ask me about it, what that was like. But then later on in my career, I transitioned to financial journalism. So people ask me, how did I get into finance? Well, it was through financial journalism. It was initially through covering the changes in Jamaica's economy during those years of the IMF program. A lot was going on. A lot of changes were happening in Jamaica. And I was one of the leading people covering that and trying to break it down so that ordinary people could understand what was going on with the economy, what was happening with the dollar. And then at the same time, we had a lot of changes with the stock market, which started booming. We saw 2015 and 2018 Jamaica's stock market becoming the best performing in the entire world. And so now all of a sudden, a lot of people wanted to know what's going on there. How can I get in? How can I make money? I started doing that on social media, and the rest is history. It just took off from there. So that's in brief how I came to be where I am today and what I stand for and what I do. So now I'm the founder and CEO of Money Media. We make business and finance easy for everyone. We provide financial news and education for Caribbean people at home and abroad.
Awesome. And I know you have a book, but do you have a course as well?
Yeah, so this is the book. It's
Yes.
called Money Mission. And there's also a course that accompanies this. So there's a series of courses. So there's the Money Mission courses. We have Mission 1, Mission 2, Mission 3, which take you through, it starts through learning how to create your financial plan and then managing debt. And then Mission 3, which is the one that everybody always wants, is about investing. So all of that is at moneymissionja.com.
And I have all the links in the description. So if anybody's interested, please check it out. Worth your time, worth going through. Absolutely. Hopping back. Yes. So hopping back to kind of when your transition from, let's say, traditional media to your own media company now, I know you said you were posting on social media, but like, how did you make how did you find making that full transition?
Hold on, I see your professional mic. Let me set up my professional mic too.
Yeah. Do you think?
Some better audio. me
No
one
problem.
sec.
Yeah, no problem.
Mike.
No sweat. And then while Kalilah is doing that, if anybody has any questions as we're going through our conversation, please put them in the comments, and I'll do my best to save them and get them answered.
All right, how I sound now?
There we go, top notch.
Better?
Yeah.
All right, good. What was the question?
So the question was going back to when you first started. How was the transition from traditional media to starting your own media company and your own platform?
So at first I was doing both. So I was working in radio at the time, Nationwide News Network. I was also working in TV. I was at Business Access TV. Why am I not blurry? I think it's now focusing on the microphone instead of me. And that's the media person in me now worried about video quality. I suddenly got blurry. But yeah, so I started in traditional media and I was doing both. So I was on the radio every morning, and then in the evenings, I'd be on Business Access TV talking about the same thing. Business Access TV went out of business, and there was this gap in the market. People wanted more information, and they weren't getting it from traditional sources. So I was the business and finance editor at Nationwide. But over at Nationwide and in traditional media, in most of them in Jamaica, you have to compete for airtime because there's limited hours in a day. There's limited airtime, right? The news is 20 minutes or so. And in that time, you have to compete against crime, politics, sports is huge in Jamaica, all the sexy things. And then the business is kind of like the part that you skip through when it's time to go to the bathroom through
Right.
commercial. But there was a core audience that was very interested in it. And I found that the stories weren't getting the attention I thought they deserved. Because to me, at the time, IPOs were big news. People were making a lot of money off of IPOs. And my IPO story is not getting headline attention. But my audience really, really, really wants that information. So I started putting it on social media. And so for the first year, I was doing both. I was doing both my radio job and then doing the social media thing until the social media became bigger than my full-time job. So there came a point where I was like, okay, my full-time job is keeping me from making more money over here. So I was already making more money on social media than I was from my full-time job. And I saw opportunity to make even more, but I can't because I have my full-time job to go to. And so at that point, I said, you know what? Let's call it quits on the full-time. Let's make this my full-time. And I've been doing that ever since. That was 2020, middle of COVID.
Yeah, I mean, we pretty much started almost the same time. But I was doing I guess that was my first podcast was COVID. And I remember I mean, maybe it didn't feel like that to you, but I felt like you skyrocketed pretty quickly with the content that you were doing because of what you said, like these stories weren't being covered. And before you came on, I was just talking about like how you go into these stories and very granularly, right? And that a lot of people aren't talking about. And then also even the guests that you have on, they are very knowledgeable, but a lot of them are not very well known. But then also you do have very high profile guests, Prime Minister Michael Lee Chin, like these guys as well. So I feel like you're bringing like a very rounded perspective as it relates to like the direction the country is going in, and then also in just investment in general. And I guess I'll let you respond to that, and then I'll project with my next question.
Yeah. So absolutely. I do try to make this type of information accessible. So yeah, it's not the sexiest topics. It's not the stuff that gets the most attention, but amongst a core group of people and people who want to make money, which I think should be everybody, it is, it is top tier. So we do have our regular people who never miss a show, never miss an episode, comment on everything because they know what it is and they know the value that this information brings to them. But yeah, there are tons of people like today's Thursday? Tuesday night, we had William Mafood on, who is the chairman of Wisinko Group. which is one of the biggest manufacturing companies in Jamaica. Wysinco did their IPO in 2017. You would think that a company of that size, they've been around a long time, that they would have been listed for much longer than that. But I remember that Wysinco IPO was the one that motivated me to start investing, because I missed it. I was I intended to start and to participate, and then I dragged my feet and I missed it. And I was like, okay, well, the next one can't miss me. So having William Mafood on this week was a nice moment.
Awesome. Congrats on that. Now, I know from my personal experience, running your own media company, social media company, is not easy, and it's a lot of hard work, and sometimes, a lot of times, very unforgiving hard work. And this is me projecting, but I feel like you can relate to what I'm saying here. And so, how was especially in the beginning, 2020, 2021, how were you received by the market per se? That would be traditional media, and then perhaps even working with corporate Jamaica as well.
Oh, so when you say the market, you mean the advertisers, right? So
yes.
Not necessarily the viewers. Yeah. So it's funny that you asked this question, because when I first had the idea for my show, Taking Stock, right, I envisioned it as a television show. I wanted to be on TVJ CVM, and I pitched it to them.
Oh, wow.
And
okay.
Yeah, I even invested in a pilot. So we filmed the whole pilot at PBCJ Studio. We had, everything, put it on YouTube, got the views up so I could deliver proof of concept. And they both passed. They both weren't interested. They said, business news, we don't think people will watch this. This is boring. And then they tried to get me to pay for airtime on their station. So they wanted me to pay them a whole heap of money, which wouldn't have been profitable, because what I could charge for advertising versus what they're charging me for airtime, it would make no sense for me to do that. And so I said to myself, well, what if I put this on YouTube? Do I really need to be on television in 2019 at the time? It was October 2019. Do I really need television in 2019? Isn't the audience now on social media, on YouTube? And all the people that I asked for advice, who were also in my industry, said, no, you have to be on TV, because the advertisers are not going to spend the money for a YouTube show. You're not going to earn the advertising dollars that you need to earn in order to justify the production cost. And I said, well, let me try it anyway. Let me pitch it to them anyway and see what they say. And lo and behold, they were exactly interested in a program just like this. And we started the show with 4 major corporate sponsors paying good money to advertise on a YouTube show, because these were investment firms that had no outlet to promote their product. Nobody talking about their specific product. So they wanted a show exactly like this that they could get behind, so that people can become aware of them as investment firms, the services that they offer, and what the potential is for you. So when we started, we had great corporate support. We had Sagicor Investments, we had NCB, we had Proven Wealth, and we had Bulwark Insurance. 4 major sponsors.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. And do you think has that continued, that type of support since then up until now? Not necessarily with those companies, but the industry.
We've had varying. Oh, and JMMB, how can I forget? They were day one, number one. So JMMB is still with us 7 years later, our longest running sponsor, JMMB Investments. And so we've had varying levels of support over the years. Some have come on and come off and come back on. Some new ones have joined. Others have discontinued. Some companies have gone out of business. That's just the nature of the way it works. But we have had good enough support that we've been able to last for 7 years and counting.
Do you think the corporate Jamaica in general, they understand and or appreciate the power of of social media and, for lack of a better term, social media influencers, particularly on the professional side, if you will?
I think they're starting to,
Mm-hmm.
because I thought in 2019 that we were already there. I thought it was a no-brainer. Social media is the thing. But now in 2026, we're seeing where traditional media is actively being threatened by social media. So you have huge companies like RGR Communications Group running a $600 million loss in 2025 and trying to figure out how they can transition more towards digital, how they can work with influencers. I'm actually in talks for a potential deal with that group 7 years after they said no. Imagine that. So they're beginning to come around and to see the value in it. So much so that social media is threatening traditional media. And we've seen across the Caribbean where other media houses, traditional media houses, have closed in the past 12, 18 months because they're just not making any money anymore, because the advertisers are spending with Facebook and spending with influencers rather than buying commercial airtime on TV and radio and in print.
And so this is where I'm like going to project a little bit. And so my frustration is that I can't believe that they haven't seen this coming from when I would say, like, I first started. Like, I just didn't understand that. And I feel like in many ways, Jamaica is extremely behind other markets when it comes to understanding and taking advantage of the power of social media, and particularly with influencers. And I look back at the 2020 era of so many channels that had started around then and creators who were just, I think, really excellent even to this day. But quite honestly, they just didn't get the support from companies, not necessarily only corporate Jamaica, but just Jamaican businesses in general. And they've slowly faded out. And a lot of times I feel this social media game really is this game of attrition. It's just like, how long can you really last? What is your burn rate? And to get to that support that you need, because a lot of people are just like, they're creators that have this influence, but they need the support from the market in order to sustain themselves. And if they're unable to do that after a while, you're going to have to, just hang it up and move on. And I feel like Jamaica in general has some really talented individuals on the creative side. And I'll say like the professional creative side. I'm not necessarily talking about like the entertainment side of things, even though that's also well and good and very much needed in the market. But I feel, generally speaking, that these talented individuals are not necessarily getting the support that they need, which in like when we think of like the macroeconomic effect of that, you're supporting the economy. You're getting these influencers to promote your product, which are Jamaican products or your service, that they have the trust and the eyeballs of the audience that you're trying to get in front of. But for some reason, I feel like there is a disconnect in them having understanding of that relationship where, man, you're going to make that money back. And so that's just kind of my personal gripe and feeling of corporate Jamaica and business in Jamaica. And I don't know what it's going to take for us to speed up a little bit with that process.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Like from 2019 to, I couldn't believe that they didn't have the foresight to see this is where things were going. And 2026 now, they're here trying to play catch up, and they still don't get it. On the influencer side now, the people who are doing this as a business, and for those of us who are now full-time creators, full-time online, I think where the challenge lies for most of us, I'll say me too included, is management and figuring out how to operate like a business. Mm-hmm. So what I see a lot of creators doing is that they're doing these one-off campaigns. And I had to be talking to a friend of mine recently who has a fairly new channel, a little bit over a year old. And I said, send me your packages. Let me see what you have. And she's charging, $50,000 for a spot in the show. I'm like, but this isn't sustainable. These one-off, send people a year-long package.
Right.
Send the advertisers a year-long package, because you need to have sustainable income coming in every month. You need to be able to know what's coming in. And then anything else that comes in that's one-off, that's just bonus. But you can't sustain off trying to chase one-off contracts every single time. It's too much work, it's too much effort, and it doesn't allow you to plan and truly build. So go in with your long-term contracts, your long-term proposals when you meet with these brands. You can't be thinking individual, just one-off shout-outs and advertising spots or whatever it is that you're offering. You have to have a minimum a year to be able to sustain what you're doing if you want to be in this for the long term. And that's the knowledge that I feel like a lot of creators don't have. So they know how to create content, but how do you sustain the revenue? That's the challenge. That's where management comes in. If you are able to have a manager or have somebody in your life who has that type of business mind, who can help you with that side of the business, because it is a business.
Yep. And so what do you think we can do as Jamaican creators to, one, help ourselves along that journey, and then two, what do you think we can do as Jamaican creators to get the corporate and business side of Jamaica to understand the true value that we really bring to the market?
Right. So you have to educate yourself. So since I've been in this business, I told you my background is journalism, right? I did not know anything about running a business, about being a CEO, but I had to learn. I had to learn marketing. I had to learn sales. I had to learn how to run Facebook ads myself. I had to learn all these little things, human resources, dealing with conflict amongst your team members. I had to learn all these little things that weren't part of my original skill set. And so educating yourself, if you're going to do this as a business, that needs to take priority, or else you are going to get left behind. And I always use the example of somebody who maybe makes great soap, right? You make this great body product, excellent product, and you say to yourself, oh, this product ought to sell itself, but then it ends up not selling itself, even though it's an amazing product and the people who've used this product swear by it. But you don't have the accounting knowledge, you don't have the marketing knowledge, you don't have the sales knowledge to make it work as a business. So you're a good artisan or a good creator, but not necessarily a good business person. And if you're not a good business person, the business is going to fail. So you have to educate yourself. I've spent a lot of money taking just online courses and a lot of time just looking at YouTube videos, trying to figure stuff out, attending conferences. One that I attend almost every year is called FinCon, and that is for financial content creators specifically. And I learned so much from these, attending these conferences, taking courses and so on, just to figure out the business side of things.
Got to invest in yourself. Great
Absolutely.
advice. And then in respect to what do you think that we can do to help, I guess, move along the yardstick with corporate Jamaica and the business side of Jamaica to work with us?
So as creators, you have to know your numbers. You have to know your analytics, and you have to be able to show your return. So advertisers, they want to know what is the bang for their buck. And that's where traditional media has failed, because they are unable, at least in Jamaica, to show how many people watched this commercial and how many people took action from this commercial. But as creators, we have the advantage of being able to track that. So we're able to tell you exactly how many views it got, how many likes, shares, saves, reposts, comments, all the data. And then if you use other creator tools like ManyChat, you are able to even show the conversion and say, okay, this is how many people commented the keyword, this is how many people received the link, this is how many people clicked on the link. And clicking on the link is as far as you as the creator can take it. Once they get to your site, it's your job now to convert them. But you need to have all of that data and be able to show, this is why you should work with me, because this is the result that I can get. So tracking that, sending that to your clients, using that data to win new clients, that is extremely important.
Great advice. And you're 100% correct in that. And it took me some time to learn and understand that, like how powerful and important that is like you said, know your numbers like the back of your hand. I do want to move over to the finance side of things and the economy side of
Sure.
things. And as you've mentioned, you've been a journalist, financial journalist for quite some time. And I would love to hear your thoughts on just how you see the progression of Jamaica from an economic standpoint. And I guess we'll go back to the 2011 and kind of get your overall thoughts on where you see us going as well. And if I need to repeat or reiterate that in any way as you answer, I can do that.
You know, Jamaica's change and development has been incredible to watch. 'Cause like I told you, I'm not from this country. I didn't grow up here. I didn't have the experiences that you guys would have had growing up in the 80s and 90s. I came here in 2008. And when I came here, Jamaica was going through it, right? We had just emerged from the FinSAC era, so that was a hot topic. We were in an IMF program that failed. At the time, it was Bruce Golding who was prime minister. And then we had the Tivoli incursion in 2010, which I covered. So it was a tumultuous time in Jamaica. We ended up having this second IMF bailout program, and the dollar devalued. I remember when I came to Jamaica, the dollar was like 75 to 1 US, and now we're at 160. So I remember prices being a lot different. And I remember, wage freeze and how tough things were during those early years of me being here in Jamaica. And you might wonder, what was I even doing here? Why would I put myself through that? I was here for school, actually. I was doing my master's at UWI. And then I ended up staying and, getting married and all that stuff. But 2012 now is when we changed administration, 2011. Portia Simpson Miller became prime minister. A new IMF agreement was negotiated. At the time, we know now that the IMF was laughing at us in those negotiation rooms. They never expected Jamaica to succeed, but somehow through determination and partly miracles probably, we actually made that program work and emerged from it in 2016 a lot stronger and passed all the IMF tests, and were able to eventually graduate from that program into a separate program with a little less stringent requirements. And around that time, we started seeing the economy taking off. As a result, debt started coming down, which freed up money for other spending in the economy. And then on top of that, I think the biggest thing financially, which led to the stock market eventually booming, which led to all this construction you see all around Kingston and on the North Coast, is that money needed a place to go. The reason Jamaica was in such high levels of debt is that the government was borrowing at extremely high rates locally. So when they say Jamaica had all of this debt, right, and we had to borrow from the IMF to repay the debt, over half of that debt was owed to Jamaicans. You might assume that it was to international corporations and Bear Stearns and all these big people. Over half of that debt was owed to Jamaicans. So pension funds, banks were lending to the Jamaican government and earning 20-30% interest from the Jamaican government. And so if you're earning 30% interest simply by lending to the government, what incentive do you have to build business, to invest in the local economy? What incentive do you have to give me a loan to buy a house? So mortgage rates were through the roof. It was inaccessible for most people. If you want to get a business loan, the interest rate is ridiculous because the banks would rather lend their money to the government and earn an easy 30% rather than lend their money to me and take that risk. And maybe I don't pay it back. You never know what is going to happen. And so the government borrowing was crowding out investment in the local sector, in the local economy. For many, many years, that was happening. But when we went through that IMF program, 2012 to 2016, that was no longer happening. The government, they did Jamaica Debt Exchange, which you may have heard of. And then we had the second one, the National Debt Exchange, so JDX and NDX, which meant that all those people who were guaranteed 25-30% interest were no longer guaranteed that. They took a haircut on that borrowing. And so now all these wealthy people and wealthy institutions that have money, they now need somewhere else to put that money because they're not getting that guaranteed money from the government anymore. And that is what led to the boom in Jamaica's stock market and the boom in real estate in Jamaica, because they're not getting money from the government. We need somewhere else to invest it. And so we see the stock market soaring in 2015 and through that whole period up until just before COVID, up until 2019, the wealthy class was putting their money in the stock market and building things left, right, and center. New businesses were popping up, and we started seeing the economy thriving. And then COVID hit and kind of threw off everything, and we still haven't fully recovered financially. But as an economy, we're in a much, much better place than we were 10 years ago. I know it still feels hard because inflation in, and Trump is doing the most, and oil prices are up. But when you compare where we are today compared to where we were 10 years ago, on a macroeconomic level, there's a huge improvement. And I think within the next 5 years and even 10 years, Jamaica will look and feel a whole lot different.
Wow. Thank you so much for that financial and economic history. I knew the broad strokes that we all hear about, but I didn't know a bunch of those intricate details that you explained. So I really, really appreciate that. And it does set us up for where we are. Yes, COVID was horrible, but I feel like it obviously could have been much, much worse if we didn't take certain steps as a country before that in order to buffer and kind of take that hit. And you had mentioned that things look really great for the next 5 to 10 years. Could you elaborate from your own perspective what you see that could possibly look like for Jamaica?
When I say things, I didn't necessarily say it looks great, but I do have an optimistic forecast for 5 to 10 years because of the things that I see happening today. When you see investment and development like the North Coast Highway, right? Or the North-South Highway, that opened about 10 years ago. And 10 years from that opening, we are now seeing the boom on the North Coast in the Ocho Rios area in Draxhall. We see all the development that comes with the result of that link. And now I think about St. Thomas Highway that just opened and all the potential that is on that side of the island. It's going to take some years before we start seeing the impact of that. So the seeds are being sown now, and we have the plans for all the other highway developments, the Montego Bay bypass, what that is going to open up. It will take 5-10 years before we start really seeing the fruits of that. When you think about the debt levels that have come down, we were in 2012 at 150% of GDP. And today we're down to, I think, like 70. Hurricane Melissa kind of threw us off a bit, but the debt level is coming back down. We were spending the vast majority of money that we earn just to repay debt. And now that that payment is coming down, there is room to spend on other things. We saw the increase in public sector salaries, I think 2 years ago, that dramatic increase in most public sector salaries. We start seeing more investment in education. We start seeing more social spending. We start seeing more infrastructure development. So the seeds are being laid. The foundation is being set. But remember, growth doesn't happen overnight. So while we're planting, you have to look towards 5-10 years from now to start seeing the real benefits of what is happening now.
And is there a particular public or private sector project that excites you the most, so to speak?
To me, the highway developments, because I've seen firsthand what that means. So I've seen before, I remember going through Mount Rossa to get to Ochi. It's 2.5 hours on that trip. And now that trip is 50 minutes, maybe a bit more, depending on traffic coming from Kingston. And seeing that just the direct correlation between that development and what that meant for the surrounding communities when you get to Ochi. And so me being excited for what is going to happen in St. Thomas within a similar time span and what is going to happen around these other highway developments that are planned, I think that's the one that excites me the most because it has so much ripple effects.
Mm-hmm. And is there, how would I put this? What would concern you the most, I'd say, that you may think that could hinder a lot of the things for what we just talked about from happening? Is there anything that you foresee that you are concerned or are worried about, or that we should be careful of, so to speak?
Well, one is climate change. That is a huge thing. We just went through 2 major hurricanes back to back. And in the past, that would have decimated Jamaica's economy. We would have been right back to square one. So I'm happy to see that we've been able. You have a different experience being in Negril than me in Kingston, since Melissa didn't really affect Kingston much. But the overall economy wasn't completely destroyed like it would have been 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But climate change is definitely one, because if we were to get another one, a 3rd year in a row, and another one the size of Melissa, can we, having used up the resources last year, because we maxed out all the insurance policies last year, would it be the same if that was to happen again this year? Like, it really is a scary proposition, thinking that hurricane season is right around the corner. Yet again, June to November is coming. And yeah, that does cause me some trepidation. The other one is crime. I'm glad to see that those crime figures are finally coming down, because Jamaica has had this reputation for many, many years of, bad man place, right? Gunman this and gunman that. And our murder rate has been extremely high for a couple decades well. And the past year and a half, 2 years, we've finally started seeing strides in that coming down. And I think that is going to play a huge impact in what we can achieve as a country as well, because one of the biggest threats to our prosperity has been security. If you have to be spending so much money on security because you're simply not safe, and if people are scared to invest in your country because they feel like they're going to be extorted, they're going to be targeted, they're going to be killed even, then that is a huge deterrent to economic progress and to investment. So the fact that we're finally starting to get that under control speaks volumes for what the potential could be. My hope is that Jamaica in the next 10 years will be seen as a peaceful country and will no longer have that reputation of being bad man country. The music probably won't help with that, but hopefully the reality will be different.
Yes, but I agree. I think we are definitely heading in the right direction for sure. Now I want to move a little bit into the speculative arena. Want to talk a little bit about oil on 2 sides of the coin. So I guess let's start with what's in our face now, which is the conflict in the Middle East and Iran. And of course, we don't want war. Nobody wants war. But there are obviously rippling effects that have been tearing through the globe. And obviously, we here in Jamaica, we're feeling the effects as well. And what would you say, or what do you think? How do you think what would you say the effects that we could be looking forward to, so to speak? And then, how can we prepare to absorb it / go through it?
Yeah. So the immediate effect obviously is inflation. So we see our gas prices going up and we see our electricity prices going up. And that's the immediate thing that we have to brace for, because you go to the pumps, you buy your gas, and that price increase licks you like immediately. And then you get your light bill from JPS, and their rates are directly tied to global oil prices, and that price lick you immediately. But then there's so many follow-on things that affects as well. So the whole manufacturing process, everything that uses electricity, that's going to go up. And everything that uses electricity basically is everything. Every business uses electricity for office space, for manufacturing, for whatever it is, they all use electricity, they all use fuel. And so prices across the board are already starting to creep up. Right now, we're looking at potential, or there's a discussion about potential food shortages as well, because the cost of fertilizer has dramatically increased because of what's going on with the war in Iran. Shipments are held up in that area, and the farmers aren't getting the fertilizer that they need. So the prices for fertilizer have gone up. And then we talk about this, and then people say, oh, but we can just eat what we grow, right? We can just grow stuff here. But I'm like, you're not completely getting it, because our local farmers still depend on imported fertilizer to a large extent. And so the local inputs are also going up, paired with, we just had Hurricane Melissa, crops take some time to recover. So the inflation, I feel like that's the one that's going to hit us in the next few months, like really bad, unfortunately.
Do you think there's much that we can do as individual members of the society to prepare for this? And I'm thinking like working class people, that's probably the biggest part of the population, but then also even people who are on the poverty line. Like what do you think people can do? Is
the best I can say is to just save as much as you can right now. Try not to overspend. I know it's tempting. We have summer holiday coming up, and people want to go party and stuff, but you're going to need that money, because the other thing is the tourism sector is being impacted because the cost of jet fuel is up, which means people aren't going to be traveling as much, which means people aren't coming to your hotel as much. Bookings may be down, and tourism is a huge part of the global economy. Of Jamaica's economy. It's like $1 out of every $3 comes from tourism. Another huge part of Jamaica's economy is remittances, people sending money back home. But if our family and friends in America aren't doing so well, they don't have as much to send back. And so you're going to have to hold on to whatever money that you have right now. It might be tempting to spend it, especially if you have it, but you have to prepare for what it seems like is coming, because we thought this war could have been over in a week, 2 weeks, and it's still dragging on. Not to mention, there's now this cruise ship with the hantavirus. And
I don't even know what I saw it. I was like, I can't, I didn't even want to look into it.
Oh gosh, please don't tell me another COVID is coming. Like,
oh my goodness. I really hope not.
Save your money, people.
Yes. Great advice. Great advice. I want to move on the other side of the coin of oil. And again, sticking in the realm of speculative, and I know you've covered this before on your platforms, which is the exploration of oil in the southern basin of Jamaica. And I guess where are we with it from your perspective? And then I would also ask, what do you think this could potentially mean for Jamaica if we were to quote unquote discover oil?
So it's still in the exploratory phases. I am not particularly excited about it because, one, the people who are promoting this and who are, putting this in the news, they have an agenda. They're trying to raise money for additional exploration. So of course, they are going to present the most optimistic view of Jamaica's potential. So they're going to be putting out statements making it look like, there is a strong chance, because they're trying to raise money to do the drilling and the exploration. So I take it with a grain of salt. I wouldn't say I'm pessimistic, but I'm not optimistic either. I'm just like, okay, we'll wait and see where this goes. If we find oil, great. If we don't find oil, I can't say that I was really expecting it. But there are a lot of cautionary tales from around the world. If we do find oil, what do we do? How do we prepare? We see what Guyana is going through right now. They are now a major global oil producer, but the production sharing agreement wasn't the best in Guyana's favor. And so that is something that the Jamaican government needs to study, the structure of those production sharing agreements, so that we can get the best deal for us if indeed oil is eventually found.
Great point. Great perspective on that. And you're right. Yeah, I didn't even look at it that way, as there is an incentive and there is an agenda for this promotion, if you will, of the possibility.
Yeah, that's why I haven't talked about it too much. People keep asking me to comment on it. I'm like, I don't really want to push that agenda because they're just trying to raise money, basically.
Right.
Anybody who's trying to raise money is going to present the most optimistic view of something.
Yep. Good point. Great point. I want to move over to the logistics side of things, and Jamaica has for many years now has been slowly positioning itself as being this global logistics hub, and hopefully the near future, but we'll see. And even the Prime Minister has stated firmly that Jamaica will eventually become the Singapore of the West. And I just kind of want to get your thoughts on that whole possibility.
It's nice in theory, but are the policies truly in place that will allow that? And my concern here, again, is the crime. Yes, we're getting there, but it's hard to, thinking about it from the perspective of a potential investor, to put your money in a place where you're not sure that you and your employees are going to be safe, right? That is a big disincentive. But I do see the point, and this argument has been made for well over a decade now. I remember when under PNP administration, Tony Hilton was Minister of Investment and Commerce, and he was pushing this whole idea of Jamaica becoming a logistics hub, and he was kind of laughed at. But slowly we're starting to see elements of that come to fruition. We're starting to see global companies coming to Jamaica, setting up shop as the economy stabilizes. So once we get to that investment grade zone, which we are now very, very, very close to, I think we're going to start seeing that investment come in. So when I say investment grade, there are credit ratings agencies, Standard & Poor's, Moody's, and what's the third one again? There's three of them. I don't remember the third one, but you guys may be familiar with the name Standard & Poor's. So they rate countries based on your credit worthiness. So think of it as your personal credit report. Your credit score tells banks how good you are as a potential customer and how likely they should be to lend money to you and at what interest rates. So the better your credit score, the better interest rates you can get, the better terms you can get, the more money you're able to borrow, and the more investors are likely to lend to you. So the same goes for countries. Now, 15 years ago, Jamaica was in the D range. Now we're in the upper B range. We're at B, I think we're at B plus right now. But how these ratings go, it goes from down going up. It goes D, C, double C, triple C, then B, double B, triple B, then A, double A, triple A. And under each rating as a plus or minus. So you can go A minus, A plus, double A minus, double A. So Jamaica we are at double B plus, I believe is our latest credit rating with a positive outlook. When we hit the triple B range, especially triple B plus, that's when we're considered investment grade. So the big money is only going to invest in safe countries that are investment grade. So the A range and the triple B plus range, maybe triple B, anything less than that is considered too risky to put any serious money. So the fact that we've come all the way from D up to double B, I have to double check where exactly we are right now, but I think we're at double B plus. So we're almost at the triple B range. We're almost at investment grade. I think when we get there, it's going to unlock so much potential.
And can you get, from a practical standpoint, can you give us an example of like what that actually means? Like on the ground, say we made it to like double A or A grade, like what would that mean? What type of money are we talking about coming in? Where would that money go? And how would that effectively change people's lives here in Jamaica?
No, we're talking about billions of US dollars. So we're looking at companies who would know. So you spoke about logistics hub, which is how this whole conversation came about. We're talking about companies who may want to just relocate their business to Jamaica because it's a good place to do business. We have an English speaking population. We have an educated workforce. A lot of people right now are underemployed, so they'll be happy to take these jobs. And now these companies feel safe because crime is down. So they feel like, okay, we can bring people here to work and our business won't be threatened. And also the economy is stable. This is a credit-worthy country. This is a place where I can safely put my money. So there is a lot of potential for us once we get to that point. And I have no doubt, based on the trajectory that we've been on, that we are going to get to that point in the next 5 years.
Great.
Maybe sooner.
Yeah. And and rightfully so, you keep coming back to the crime. And I think that is very much so like an important part of the equation. Do you think that Jamaica can be doing more to bring that down? And also, like, what do you think we can do to continue to kind of go on this trajectory, or maybe speed up the trajectory on in terms of the crime rates that are going down?
Yeah, I think the social programs and investing in the youth is the way to go. So you have to target the next generation, because the kids who are 12 years old today are going to be 17 years old in 5 years. 5 years is not a long time, but it's enough time for a child to grow up, to mature, to become of that age where they may enter a gang, be looking to pick up a gun, if there are no opportunities for them in that 5 years, if they're not able to continue their education because it's too expensive, or because they didn't have the foundation to be able to pass the test that they need to continue, if they are not able to go on to university because they can't afford it, if they were prone to enter the workforce and can't find a job, all these things that end up in youths being marginalized. We have a small window to target those people, those kids who are now 12 years old, who will be 17 in 2031. It sounds like a long time. It is not. Me have kids now, the time goes so quickly, and you can make a huge difference in kids' lives in that short period of time by making sure that they stay on the right path, that the opportunities are there for them when they get to that age. I think that's the most important thing we can do now.
I cannot agree with you more. And unfortunately, and very sadly, I've seen this play out in the time that I've been here, where you see these beach kids that are just up and down the beach, hustling, doing whatever to make a living, no guidance, no mentorship, and they become tomorrow's gangsters very quickly. And you see, and you just know, even now, I know so many of them, and they know me, and they're doing their thing, but you know what they're doing. But I almost feel, in many ways, it's not their fault. And I knew them as kids, and they didn't want to go in that life. And I feel that, like, we as a society and the adults of the society, like, we fail those kids. And yeah, I would like to see a lot more resources go into that intervention that you're alluding to here. I think it's very, very important.
Yeah, I applaud programs like Project Star. I know Keith Duncan is big in that, which is essentially exactly what we're talking about, trying to target those youths and trying to make sure that they have something to do, they're gainfully employed, and so on. So those types of social programs, we need more of that.
Yeah, 100%. I do want to, this would be my last section before we move into the Q&A. I do want to talk a little bit about the cost of living in Jamaica, and particularly I want to focus a little bit on young people, young Jamaicans. And there has been just a lot of, rightfully so, like, talk about the affordability of young people's living expenses, particularly in getting on a path to afford a home. What does it cost, or what type of income do you have to have in order to live a decent quality of life? And I've heard these concerns mainly I feel like young people in general, but I think where I've heard the most is mainly from recent college grads. And it concerns me because, these are our stars of the future, so to speak, and our future leaders, our highest educated young people. And there is almost a little bit of a sense of hopelessness, if you will. And it concerns me and saddens me that they feel that way. And I would ask you, is from your perspective, is this the reality that you are seeing out there? And then how do you kind of square what these folks are saying?
Yeah, first of all, the cost of living is really insane. It really, really is. I'm not as concerned that college grads are saying that. That's kind of expected because they never had to face it before. So it's going to come as a shock to them. You finish school, are like, oh my God, this is what things cost. Like my kids have no idea what things cost. They just think, oh, mommy's just going to pay for it. So they don't have a true sense of what the value of money is and the value of what things cost. I remember when my oldest daughter was in high school, she brought home this brochure to go to a summer program in Europe for 3 weeks. And she's like, it's only $20,000 US. I was like, how much money do you think I make?
Right. That's insane.
That is almost my salary for the entire year at that point. I was probably making like 30,000 a year at that point. And she's like, it's only 20,000. She had no idea what things cost. So when I told her no, she said, okay, well, how about we do the 2-week program instead, which is only 15,000. So no matter how you try to explain to college age kids, they don't really have a sense of the reality of what things cost until they get out there and they have to face those expenses on their own. So it doesn't bother me as much that they feel that way because they're now coming into the reality shock of what things cost. But when you see people my age, I'm in my 40s now, and a lot of people my age are still out here struggling. Like we should have been established by now. Right? In the past, you hear about the midlife crisis and the guys buying the Ferraris at 40, and ain't nobody I know doing that right now because we've had it rough. We came of age 2008, the recession. So we entered a dull job market, and then we had, like I said, what was going on at the time in Jamaica, Tivoli incursion, IMF program, devaluation of the dollar. We've had a rough 15, 20 years, the years where we're supposed to be developing our careers and building our wealth. And here we are in our 40s still struggling. And that's the reality. We see real estate prices through the roof. A lot of people my age still can't afford to buy their first home. And it really is, it's tough and it's discouraging for a lot of people. It really is.
Yeah, it's really, really tough. And then there's not a lot. I don't mean to be negative Nancy here, but there is a lot of challenges that we're facing ahead, especially as a country with Jamaica. Even though we just had this very optimistic conversation, but I mean, there are things that we just have to continue to look out for. And I think you gave us some great advice about really being focused on savings and that sort of thing, and really having this conservative mindset as it relates to your relationship with money, because there is just so much unpredictability in the market. And I don't see,
but that said, it's also a great time to be investing because the projection for 5-10 years based on everything discussed is very good, but you have to go into it with a mindset that you're not going to get that return right now. So if you're investing to get something within the next 1 to 2 years, dash that way. That is not going to happen. You have to have a long-term mindset because the growth is going to come. I'm very optimistic that the growth is going to come, but it's not going to come 2026. It's not going to come 2027, 2030 and beyond, I think is where we're going to see the real return on our investment. So if you have it to put aside right now, put it aside.
I could tell you that is pretty much me and my brother's mindsets. I work with my brothers here in Negril, and that is how we see it as well. And we are being very, very patient, but we're not being scared either in terms of investing. We see it. We understand that we are going through a tumultuous time right now, and like we were just saying, cost of living and everything is going up. But we are very optimistic and very bullish in that 20, 29, 28, 30, 30 time frame. I believe everything you just said wholeheartedly, and like we're acting on it. We're not just talking about it in that sense.
Yeah, you got to be like the ant in the famous The Ant and the Grasshopper story. You store your food away, you make your investments now, so that when the time comes, you reap
the rewards. That's right. That's right. Okay, wonderful. All right, I want to hop over to a few questions that we have here from the audience. So this one is from Quantities. Question for Kalilah: how did you analyze real estate investing compared to the stock and bond markets? What metrics or indicators do you look at when deciding where capital is best allocated?
Well, the best indicator is the return, right? How much money are you going to make off this investment? The return and the timeline. So what is the timeline that you're looking to make back your money, and how much money do you want to make back? So those different asset classes are very, very different in terms of timeline. So stock can be a medium-term play. It can be a short-term play as well. It can be a long-term play. Real estate is definitely a long-term play. Real estate is not something that you enter for a short-term return. The bond market can go 2 years, so short, medium term. It can go longer if you want to extend that. But it really depends on how much money you are looking to put in, because real estate obviously requires a lot more capital upfront, or at least access to capital through loans, for example. But if you have a smaller amount of money, then stocks and bonds are the way that you want to go. And then depending on what your objective is. So is it that you need this money back within the next year, or do you have a longer time frame to play with it? So that is going to determine the level of risk that you are going to be able to take and comfortable with taking as well. So amongst these asset classes, stocks obviously would be the riskiest, followed by bonds, followed by real estate being the least risky because it's brick and mortar, physical building. You can see, you can touch it, but the return also diminishes with the less risk that you take. So it really all depends on what your goal is, your timeline, your strategy, your comfort with risk.
Thank you for that. This one is from Nicola. Hello, Ms. Kalilah. I've been watching you for some time. My question is, does the USA economy have any effect on the economy of Jamaica?
There is a famous saying that when America sneezes, Jamaica catch a cold. So I think that answers your question. Absolutely, it has a huge effect on the economy of Jamaica because we're still so heavily tourism dependent for one, and remittance dependent as well. So it's like $2 billion every year that comes directly from remittances, and a similar amount more than that. I think we're at 4 billion now for tourism coming from, and a lot of that tourism comes directly from America. So if America is having problems, people don't have that discretionary spending to take a vacation in Jamaica, we're going to be affected because 1/3 of our economy depends on tourism. And if America is that affected that people don't have the discretionary money to send back home to family, similarly, we're going to be affected because people here depend on that to spend, to buy groceries, to pay school fees. It's a huge driving sector of the economy. So yes, the U.S. economy greatly affects Jamaica's economy.
Thank you for that. This one's from Alicia Mayo. Please help me understand the comparison to Singapore.
So where the Singapore comparison comes in is because, what is it, like 60 years ago when Jamaica was gaining independence, 60 odd years ago, Jamaica and Singapore were about in the same position. And the story goes that Norman Manley, listen, please don't quote me on stuff I'm about to say, but if it's not exactly like this, it's almost like this. Right. Whoever it is that was, coming up with the ideas for independence, right? The ideas that they had, Lee Kuan Yew from Singapore took them and implemented them. And now Singapore is one of the leading economies in the world. Meanwhile, Jamaica never implemented them, and we are where we are today. So that's where the comparison to Singapore often comes in. But like Jamaica, Singapore is an island, and Singapore is one of the leading logistics hubs in the world. The main difference is that they have they have developed as an autocratic society. So they were able to implement certain things that us being a democracy would have had more challenges in doing. But that's where the comparison to Singapore comes in, because they always talk about all these policies that Jamaica developed and never implemented. Lee Kuan Yew took them and run with it, and now they're so much better off than Jamaica, even though we're similar size, also an island. We had similar opportunities. We were at a similar stage of development back in the 60s, and they did it and we didn't, but we still can.
Thank you for that. This is from Shar Treehouse. Kalilah, great finance info. RE Media News that 47's admin, talking about Trump, is extracting $35 million US from Jamaican remittances, 1% of the 3.5 billion US. Can you verify? Thanks.
Yeah, so that's our new remittance tax that came into effect. I don't remember the details of it. I know I reported on it a few months ago, but yes, their intention was to tax remittances. So money that's sent back home, they were going to put a tax on. Did they ever implement it? I feel like I heard something that they didn't. Let me just Google real quick. U.S. remittance tax. I feel like they said that they didn't end up implementing it. It was supposed to start January 2026. A new 1% U.S. federal excise tax applies to international money transfers sent from the U.S. that are funded with cash, money orders, or cashier's check. This was part of the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. So the exemption was for transfers via bank accounts, debit card, or credit card. So yeah, if you're taking cash to like a Western Union, they added an extra 1% tax on that. So yeah, that did come into effect January of this year.
Interesting. Did not know that. All right. A few more questions here. This one is from Suffering Financial. They have a few questions. Just three. So let's start. If Jamaica is serious about shifting the economy long-term, creating strong jobs, exports, and higher living standards, what 2 to 3 sectors would you intentionally build around?
So one, I would say knowledge-based services, because it doesn't take a lot to start that type of business. Let's say you are an accountant, right? So the BPO is a very loose, I'm using the word BPO loosely here, but they also have another term for it. And KPO, knowledge process outsourcing. So legal services, accounting services. So I think we need to really invest in getting the knowledge base here that is exportable. Because when we think about products that Jamaica exports, yeah, we have our manufacturing, which is limited, and it's not as big as it could be because manufacturing costs are high here, because electricity costs are high. And then you have tourism, which is what comes to mind when we think of services. But what about all the people who are smart? Jamaicans are extremely brilliant people, creative people. So the creative sector, there is so much potential for Jamaica in the creative economy. We are one of the most creative places in the entire world. And that's just a fact. When you think of all the things that Jamaica has birthed that have gone global, reggae, dance hall, art, so the music, the art, the culture, the food, all the things that Jamaica is known for, all these things are exportable, but we're not making the money that we ought to be making from it. So building infrastructure around these types of industries, because creative people, and it goes back to the conversation we were having earlier, Throp, about creators in a creator economy not having the business knowledge to really build sustainable businesses, even though they have a great product. This happens in entertainment sector a lot as well. Music, culture, they have great products, but they don't have the business knowledge to really manage it as a sustainable business. So intentionally building around Jamaicans' natural creativity and Jamaicans' natural knowledge base. There's so many smart, very extremely smart people here. We should be exporting those services, legal, accounting, all the other things that we are capable of doing.
Well said. Well said. Another one from Suffern Financial. Can real estate meaningfully transform the economy, or is it more of a byproduct of growth rather than the engine itself?
I would say the latter. So I don't know that real estate transforms the economy itself. Business is what drives the economy and employs people. Real estate, if you think of new real estate, the employment is in the construction, the people who are building. So you have the manual laborers, you have your professionals, so your quantity surveyors, your architects, your, those type of people. Yes, it does drive some level of business, but I think the business itself, what you do with the real estate is where the real transformation comes in. So what is the purpose of the real estate? Is it commercial real estate? Is it industrial real estate? Is it residential? Like, what is the purpose of it? I think that's where the transformation really comes in. It's not just having a building for having a building's sake, but what are you going to do with it?
Thank you for that. These are some great questions, by the way. Okay, Jamaica 278. I'm a longtime listener for both platforms. Question: what are your take on the growth of Jamaica, Belize versus Jamaica?
No, the thing is, so even though I'm from Belize and I do follow Belize news, I feel like I'm much more familiar with Jamaica's growth and trajectory in the past 10 years than I am with Belize's, because I live here. And so my lived experience is here. I do go home like once or twice a year, and it's fascinating to see the growth. But I feel like Jamaica has been on a much faster growth trajectory than Belize has been. Yeah, they have made some impressive strides in the past 5 years as well, especially in reducing the debt, bringing unemployment down. But pound for pound, I feel like Jamaica is accelerating faster than Belize is.
Thank you for that. And this is our last audience question. Question for Kalilah: what role do institutional investors play in the real estate market in Jamaica, and how much of an impact are they having on property values, development, and housing accessibility?
They do have a substantial impact on that market because a lot of them are investors in it. So you have your big players, your pension funds that are heavily invested in large real estate projects, because real estate is seen as one of the safest investments. And so for something like a pension fund, you want to be in a relatively safe investment. So yeah, they do play a fairly big role in it. But in terms of property values, development, housing accessibility, I feel like you guys from the diaspora are having a very, very big impact on where that is today. Probably I'd venture to say even more so than the institutional investors right now, because you're the ones coming up, buying the properties, converting them to Airbnbs, and then raising the price across the board. And I'm not saying that there's anything necessarily, because you have a right to make money just as everybody else does. You want to invest in your home country just as everybody else does. But it does have repercussions for the locals here who earn in Jamaican dollars and end up having less access to real estate because your money is stronger and we have to compete with the US dollar. So there are repercussions to that. There are pros and cons, because on the one hand, it also allows you to be able to send more money back home because you're now earning money from your Airbnb properties here. You can reinvest that by sending remittances back home, but it does put a strain on the local real estate market for local people who are trying to buy properties. And it also goes the other way around, because the construction companies and the real estate investors are purposely targeting people in the diaspora for these investments. So they're building things specifically to attract that dollar as opposed to, the local dollar. So it's a double-edged sword, that one.
Well said. Well said. Thank you so much for that, Kalilah. And in closing, taking it back to the markets here, and if somebody, anybody, but I always think about young people when I ask this question, are people who are not in the market, right? What would you say, or what advice would you give somebody who is not in the market, not invested, and it's something that they're thinking about? What would be your advice to them?
Start now. Start now. You're gonna regret it in 5 years if you didn't start today. I can tell you that as almost a fact, because I can't see into the future, but I'm very confident that 5-10 years from now, we'll be in a much, much better place. And those of you who took advantage of this low period will be in a position to reap very strong returns in 5-10 years. And I also give the example of my in-laws. They invested in Richmond Estates. They bought a house there when it was just like, their house is on the first street in Richmond Estates, which is in St. Anne, near the Draxhall area, like 5-10 minutes from Draxhall. And they bought that house for like $15 million in 2010. And that house is now worth like $70 million.
Wow. That's crazy.
And so that was just before the highway opened. Now the highway opened, the entire area is booming. There's all this development. I remember the developer was struggling to sell those properties in 2010. They had to reduce the prices a few times. Nobody wanted to buy. And now they have phase 2 and phase 3 and more building. And it's the hottest real estate area in Jamaica right now. And when you have the foresight, so in your mind a highway is coming, it's going to be finished in X amount of years. This is going to lead to development. And you make that investment before everything takes off. 5-10 years from now, you're set.
Well said. What an example. What an example to kind of close out.
I think about that all the time.
That's crazy. That is crazy, man. But you do have some resources that you offer on your website. Like I said, it's in the description below. But if you can just go over them one more time for us, Kalilah, so we can have people check it out, as well as your book, please.
Right. So on the media side, everything is at moneymediaja.com. So all my content, all our videos, and you can follow me all over social media at kalilah.money. I'm on Instagram, TikTok. Those are the ones I use the most. Also on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. I use YouTube a lot as well. So you can subscribe over there. But all the links are at moneymediaja.com. And subscribe to the newsletter so that you can get everything straight to your inbox. You don't miss new stuff when it comes out. And then on the education side, we're at moneymissionja.com. So there you can get books, the courses, and so on.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I haven't mentioned it in probably the last hour, but if you don't know, Kalilah is our host for Throp-X, and just basically a couple weeks from now. And so if you're coming, you'll have a chance to meet Kalilah. If you're going to be on a live stream, which I know a lot of people are coming on doing the virtual tickets, you'll have a chance to ask your questions through the portal. And also quickly want to mention that the live stream tickets are 50% off until May 10th. So you can grab them and really be a part of the conference. But super excited for you, Kalilah, to be our host. And thank you so much for coming on this evening. This is probably one of the most engaging live streams that we've had in a very, very, very long time. So I really do appreciate you taking the time, and we are looking forward to welcoming you to Negril in a couple of weeks.
Thanks for having me. Can't wait to see you in Negril.
Same here. Take care. Bye-bye.
And everybody in the chat, see you in Negril.
That's right. Thank you, Kalilah. All right, that was fantastic. That was really, really awesome. Thank you again to Kalilah for taking the time this evening. We went a little over, but you all were asking some really, really amazing, great questions. Thank you for being so engaging, and thank you for asking these very thoughtful questions. I know they were of your own curiosity, but it all really helps to get the conversation going. And I'm sure a lot of people had very similar or maybe even the same questions that you all had asked. So yes, and yup, Kalilah is our host, which I think is going to be just so amazing. And if you can't make it, like I said, in person, get your live stream tickets at Throp-X.com. We'd love to have you join virtually. If you want to come in person, come in person. We'd love to have you. Even if you can't come for the whole week, come for a real estate tour, come for one of the panel days that we have, we have a real estate panel day, our real estate focused education day, and then we also have lifestyle and business day on the Tuesday. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and close out the pod.
I've been with the Pinnacle since inception, since we first opened our doors to the public in 2023. I'm a sales executive for the Pinnacle. So it was not an easy concept to grasp for here. I'm like, in Jamaica, in Montego Bay, how is that going to work? Because it's villas and it's hotel, it's residences and hotel, and then commercial area. That's huge, right? I've seen it elsewhere in bigger markets, in maybe better demographic locations. So in Jamaica, like, how will that work? How can we sell this? How are we going to sell this? You know, a lot of doubts when I just heard about it. But then I'm here, I'm doing it every day. I'm loving it. It's a great product. It's an easy sell. It's something I can do in my sleep. I can talk the Pinnacle in my sleep. I believe in the vision of our directors, and we're all working together as a team to make sure that in 2029, when we open our doors to everybody, all that we've dreamed of and they're working towards will be accomplished. Our directors they're born in China, they're Chinese, but they're Jamaicans. They've been here for an average of 20 years each. This is where they have their businesses, their families. This is where their children go to school. So this is where they want to give back as well. They want to make sure they're helping to build Montego Bay, and I mean Jamaica in general, by offering this kind of space where, as a business owner, you can come and own a part of this. You can have your offering here as well. And we're going to have a great mix. We're not restricting it. We're not limiting. We just want to make sure that anybody that's in this space also believes in our dream, has that vision, wants to have that elevated experience, and wants to offer that elevated service to a potential visitor or guest or client that comes in. We're sitting in our commercial area now, where if you're here on this property, or if you don't live here, you're not visiting, but then you want to come to the supermarket or the pharmacy or the cafe or the clothing store, you can come here. It's commercial, it will be open to the public. The public will have access. Then we have the 4 towers. We have the Swallowtail, which is the residential tower. So if you buy into the Swallowtail, then the expectation is that you're going to live here. And then who wouldn't want to live here, right? So you can actually live at a branded residence, 5-star hotel property, right? Second tower is our Canary Tower. And these units we're selling individually. It's the same 1:4 units as the Swallowtail Tower. Same layout, same design, same look and feel. But in this tower, the expectation is, or what we're saying to you is, if you buy here, you don't have to live here. We'll never allow Airbnb or short-term rentals, but you own your unit, it's titled in your name, and then you have the option to put it back into the residential return program with the hotel. That means if you don't live in Jamaica, and most of our buyers they're Jamaicans or members of the diaspora. We have some international people, but it's a good mix. So it means that if you're not ready to live here, if you don't live here right now, but you still want to have some kind of piece of this pie, you can buy into the Canary. When you're not in your unit, it's with the hotel. The hotel takes care of everything associated with that. It's the guests coming in and out, the marketing, the maintenance, and the average day-to-day of the unit. The third tower, the Hummingbird, we have not yet started to sell, but will basically be the same manner as the Canary. That will be the buying option for persons that want to buy. Our fourth tower, which is going to be the hotel, it's the Mondrian. that we're not selling those units at all. The hotel has already taken that. And the hotel group is their core hospitality group. The first 2 towers are 28 stories, 141 units. The third tower, we've modified a little bit based on our conversations with our core. It's now going to be 25 stories with a little bit under 200 units. And then we're going to have the third tower, which will be 23 stories. Because what we have in mind is we want everybody to also get a view, right? And I'm sure we'll touch on the views in a little bit. So and we're speaking with the hotel, we have that in mind, and we're making sure that it works for us as well as for our buyers with all the amenities that you can think of and associate with a 5-star property. So it's the parking garages. So the first parking garage will have 380 car spaces for parking with storage lockers. The second one is 275. And on top of those parking garages, now you have the pool decks and the green area, rec area, where you can come as a resident or as a visitor and just have fun, relax, read a book, go by the bar, take your children. Just a general relaxation area. We're going to have pickleball, tennis court, basketball courts. We'll have 5-star restaurants, cigar bar, wine bar, spa, gym, 24 hours, it never closes. Living starts on the 3rd floor, and then the layout changes as well. From 3 to 18, there are 7 units per floor. You get a combination of 5 2-beds, 1 1-bed, and a 3-bed. Then once you get above that, 19 to 24, you have 2 2-beds, 2 3-beds. They're bigger. And then above that, 25 and 26, 2 sets of 4-bedroom sub-penthouses. Then it goes 27, 28, 5,000 square feet each of a 5-bedroom penthouse. If you buy a penthouse, you automatically get a slip with your purchase. If you buy a sub-pent, you get a slip with your purchase. The others will be open for you to pay to use while you're here. We'll also have a water taxi. We're going to have a ferry service, so we can pick people up at Freeport and take them here. We can take people from here to strategic locations in and around Mobay. So it cuts out all the highway traffic and the downtown traffic. If you don't choose to travel by road, you can actually go by sea much faster. I have different clients with different reactions. I have clients that I speak with all the time because they're very hands-on and they want to make sure and they want updates very often, right? And then I have clients that are just ready. I have a lot of clients that especially are in the US. They're Jamaicans, but in the US, and they've worked hard for years. They're ready to come back home and they're like, can you just finish already? This is beautiful. This will actually match the lifestyle that I have now. This, I'll have my walking trail, I'll have my gym. There's a supermarket right there. I want to come home. I am ready for this elevated style of living where I'm from. So they're experiencing it in another country. And they're excited that they can come home, they can retire here just the same and have that same level of experience. A lot of people weren't expecting it. No 2 units have the same price. That's food for thought, right? So we have pricing based on availability right now, because that's where the starting price is based on what's available. And then also based on the size of the unit, the layout, and then the floor that you're on and the view that you get. So for example, we circulate a lot. We do a lot of media and social media posts with our model units. That's a $12.99 lagoon facing unit, right? Right to the right of that is a 3-bed unit that's 1732 square feet. And then all around you have 4 more 2-beds, 1056, 1323, 1473, different sizes. You get a sea view, you get a sea and mountain view. There are different views and different facts to consider when you're in a unit. So I'm not trying to be roundabout, but that does impact the price, right? So it depends on what you want. But comfortably, we're averaging now, you're looking at close to $500,000 for a 1-bed, over $600,000 for a 2-bed, and then roughly $1 million for a 3-bed. And then before you respond and say, or before our viewers respond and say, that sounds kind of high, we did our market research. It's pretty close to a lot of other offerings locally. And then you still can compare offerings to other offerings, because you're not just buying a building, you're not just buying a structure. You're buying into a branded residence, into elevated lifestyle, into luxury living. Why not? We're saying if this is the experience that you want, If what we're offering matches your lifestyle now or the one that you're working to have, come in and have a conversation with us. Let's discuss your options. We will be handover ready with the Swallowtail Tower in April of 2027, but construction will be done before that. For Canary, handover ready and construction due date is 2028. We're ahead of that. The entire development is 2029. So all amenities, the homes along the front, along the sea line, the towers, done for 2029.
Hey everyone, Throp here. I hope you enjoyed that infomercial on the Pinnacle. I know really exciting stuff ahead. If you'd like some more information, please scan the QR code on your screen right now or click the link in the description below, and we'll have a representative from the Pinnacle reach out to you right away. Now back to the stream. Okay, we are back, and I know we don't have the Pinnacle link in the description, but I'm putting right there in the comments for you. If you are interested, you can go ahead and click the link there. Great stream again today. I thought this was awesome having Kalilah on. Really appreciate it. And like I said, she's going to be the host. Extremely, very obviously, she's extremely knowledgeable on Jamaica, especially the finance part of it. We got quite the history on the finance and economy over the last 15, 16 years or so, which was fantastic. As I mentioned before, if you aren't aware, we got Throp-X virtual tickets for sale that are half off until May 10th. You can go ahead and grab those at Throp-X.com. As far as what's coming up, we got a live stream on Sunday, of course. The next couple live streams are like the next Thursday, Sunday. I'll remind you guys, trying to figure those out because I'm going to be moving around a bit. But this Sunday, we're live streaming 12 o'clock, our usual live stream show. I hope you are going to be able to make it to that one. We're going to try and beat today, but today was really fantastic. And can't thank you all enough for joining this Thursday live stream. These have been great. I've said this before. Like, I really do. I like streaming. I think I like it. Oh yeah, maybe I like it better than doing like the other content, because I just I think I really appreciate like the immediate feedback. I appreciate the interaction with you guys. I wish we can have more of that. I like having guests on live so you all can ask questions, and I'm trying to figure out how I can do more of this as we move into the second half of 2026. But I love doing this type of content. I think it's much easier, and more preparation goes into it, I have to say, but at the end of the day, I just feel like I'm in my element in so many ways. I really do. And like I said, too, love interacting with you guys, love getting your questions, love having to ask your questions to our guests. So we're going to figure that out. But anyway, we're going to leave it there. Wishing you all a great rest of your Thursday. Have a great weekend ahead. And I will see you guys on Sunday, 12 p.m. Jamaica time, right here on the Throp channel. And if you aren't already, I don't know how, but if you aren't already subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe. It helps out a ton. So hit that subscribe button as soon as you get a chance. And we're going to keep this rolling. Get your Throp-X tickets at Throp-X.com. Peace, everybody. See you guys.